Well, hello. It looks like I have one student signed up, so we'll give it a couple of minutes. Oh no, there are 11, 8, 8 students signed up. I just want to say I hope that everyone is healthy. Um, I know this is a hard time for all of us to be going through, but we're going through it together. It doesn't seem like we're together because we're not physically in the same room, but we can still support each other anyway. Um, so I want everyone to feel supported. I want you to feel that we're here for you and um, that we're taking care of each other. So the things that I wanted to go over today are a little bit about Google Classroom. Okay, when are we coming back? That hasn't been, nothing has been done officially yet. So you will be hearing from the superintendent about that as soon as things are finalized. Um, we are continuing with learning during this time, and then after spring break, we'll go into electricity. That was a decision of physics. We had a teachers meeting. I just got off the teachers meeting like 10 minutes ago. So the science teachers meeting. Um, so as far as what we are covering, the next topic will be electricity. I don't know if we'll be able to get to waves before the end of the year. That would be the rest of the curriculum for this year. I do want to go over some things about Google Classroom. I went through the surveys that I received yesterday, and there seems to be some confusion about has anything been assigned. All of the assignments are there in Google Classroom. So let me start with some guidelines on how to find your way around Google Classroom. If I could figure out how to share my screen with you, I would do that. But I'm new at this, so give me a little bit of leeway here on any mistakes I might be making. Um, so I have some things posted here. I don't know how close I have to get them so that you can see what we're going over. Is that backwards? Okay, so Google Classroom. Once you get into it, you can see the announcements. So the announcement is where you got the link to come to this today. Under that, you have the classwork. If you go to the classwork tab, then you can see that I've tried to organize the things a little bit better than they were initially. So on the classwork tab, you have the materials are all grouped in one place. So that's where you find the actual instructions for the performance task. And there are two other documents in there that you can use to help you with the performance task. Then you go down to the assignments and you can see the due dates are posted right there where it says due date. If you tap on the assignment, you can see the instructions. One of the comments was, well, you didn't tell us what to do. There aren't any instructions. Well, the instructions are there. You have to know where they're at. So you tap on the actual assignment and all of the instructions will appear there. If you go to view your work, that's in the upper left. That's how you can see your grades. You can see what you've turned in, and what is missing. So what you still need to be turning in. You can select and view my comments. So once I've looked at your work, if there are changes that you need to make, then I've made those comments and I've returned the work to you. So you need to go through and look at those comments, make those changes, and then resubmit it so that I can give you a grade for the assignment. If there wasn't a document attached to the file, nope, that's not going to work either. Okay, that's too far. If there wasn't a document attached to the file, then in the upper right where it says your work, you can click that and then you click add in order to submit your assignment. So the performance task, like I said, the instructions for the performance task are in the materials. And you can open that. The first prompt that you get is to request that you have access to that. But I'm not granting access to students into my Google Drive. So you need to go to File in the upper left, and then you can either download or copy it. And that's the same as you always do in your Google Drive. On the first page of the performance task is an example of the model that you need to do. So the energy feedback loop of an earth energy feedback loop. I'll try to do 1 or 2 models today. I see a lot of chatting. Let me go ahead and take a look at the questions that you're coming up with. Should have used laptop. This is my laptop. Xbox, how much work will you be sending after spring break? We're doing electricity, so there will be, similar to this past 2 weeks, every couple of days you'll have another assignment due. When is spring break? It's not this next week, it's the week after, I believe. That second week in April, but I don't have the exact date off the top of my head. April 11th to 17th, that sounds right for spring break. Okay. Okay, let's get back to Google Classroom then. So the performance task, there are the 5 assignments that are there, maybe it's 6. So if you haven't already started, please do get started on that. The goals are to analyze information about changes in climate from a specific perspective. So you've selected a topic and you've selected an issue. That's what you need to do to get your specific perspective. You don't want to go real broad. I mean, there's a lot of information out there about climate change. So if you just say climate change, there's no direction to go in. So by choosing a topic and an issue, that gives you a direction to go in. And if you haven't seen it, there are issues posted in the materials section of the classroom. Like I said, you go to, not your assignments, you go on the go to classwork, and you can see that the materials are organized together. One of those is issues. And that gives you some ideas like wildfires. I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head. But those are the That's how you get your specific perspective. Your topic would be one of the four main topics: atmosphere, forest, ice albedo, and water, or agriculture. And if you haven't filled out the um, form to select your group and your topic, then you need to do that. All right. Right at this point, I am not doing any point deductions for late work. I know there are a lot of issues with having access, internet access, and having a computer that works. Um, Once you've chosen your issue and your group, then you begin the research. Um, the idea is that you're sending a letter to an organization that you're persuading to implement the plan that you come up with. So you have to come up with a plan to solve this issue. And of course, there isn't any one thing any person can do to solve climate change. It's been happening, it's taken a long time to come to this. It's going to take a long time to fix it. And no one thing is going to be the one thing we do to fix all the problems. Now, as far as groups go, I know there were some questions about groups. If there is someone in the class that you're staying in contact with and you want to be working with them, that was a decision that you make amongst yourselves to be working together. There are still people that have not made a selection, so you can still contact people that you want to work with to find out if you can group together, if you can stay in contact, if you have a way of staying in contact. That's up to you. Um, but I did not assign any groups. All right, to be clear about that. So that covers the groups, the information I have about groups here. And then the research guide. So that was the next thing that was due, was a research guide. So pages 3 and 4 of the instructions, you have to include the topic and who you are writing. A lot of people misunderstood that part of it, and put the topic as the group that you're representing. But who you're writing to, you need to get that on that form and research the topic that you chose. What are the problems? And that way you can come up with a plan to solve the problems. Then, if there are other people in your group, you have to collaborate with the others in your group and then submit that. The next thing that was due yesterday, is Earth's energy model. So, like I said, there's an example on the first page of the performance task, and I can go over another one or two today. Each student submits the same as their partners. So that's important about who you're writing to as well. You have to write to the same people that the other people in your group are writing to. You're doing one final draft of a letter. So if there are other people in your group, you should have the same social media post and the same Earth energy model. And the final draft is the same letter. So you have to be writing to the same person in your rough draft that you do, and that's down here, that everyone else in your group is writing to. The Earth energy model should look professional. It doesn't have to be computer generated. It can be hand drawn, but it should be neat. It should be complete. All of the labeling should be clearly legible. All right. So if you have color, color is good to use. Um, if you don't have anything that has color, that's fine too. The social media post, the same thing. You have to have the names of everyone in your group um, on that post, and then everyone in your group should be submitting like a screenshot of the same thing. And then the rough draft. The rough draft is from page 5 of the instructions. Each student needs to submit their own words. And page 5 in that packet is pretty much a fill in the blank type of form, and that's great for the rough draft. When you finalize your letter so that you have a final copy of that, then you have to take out all of the prompts that are in the form on page 5. I do want to say that you're being asked for the address of the letter writer. So you need to put the names of everyone in your group, and then you have to put my name, and then Pittsburgh High School, and the address. And all of this is in the instructions for the performance task, okay? I don't want anyone disclosing their personal address to anyone, really. So this is how we're protecting your privacy, is that you put your names and then you put my name and then Pittsburgh High School and the address of the high school. The final draft, you have to collaborate with your group. It's the same format as page 5, but you take out all of those words that are on that page. You put the actual things that you filled in the blank. You put the return address. You put the date and the recipient's address, but you don't write those words that are printed on that form on page 5. And you have a paragraph that is telling them, informing them about the issue, what it is that you're writing about. And then don't forget the plan. The plan is the most important part. What is it that you're asking them to do? All right. So let me take a look at your questions here. Message, retracted. Raises hand, me, Lawani. Can you send this on Remind or Google Classroom? If I do it right, it will be posted and you can come back to this. You can view this at a later time. I'm hoping that I do it right. So you would follow the same link to find this again. Why did I get an ad? I have no idea. I can't do a backflip. Okay. She got an ad on. Okay. You do one. Oh, backflip. Are you done, Aaron? No. Aaron, sit down. No. Okay, so are we against or with the organization? The group that you're writing to is not doing the things that you want them to do. So it's not like you're against them, you're trying to persuade them. Maybe you've decided that recycling, the least that we can do is recycling. You could write to the school board and ask them to implement mandatory recycling in the schools. Maybe for tin cans and the plastic bottles, at least in the cafeteria. So it's not that you're against the school board, but there's something they're not doing that you want them to do. Maybe you want them to implement climate change curriculum in all the classes. That's a little vague and unclear, but it's not that you're against the organization, but they're not doing something that you want them to do. Will our letter be sent to the organization? Yes. No Zoom. No, we are not doing Zoom. No Zoom. The survey came up with the majority of people saying they were more comfortable with YouTube. If we want to do Zoom once in a while, we can do that. We can try that out and see how that works. Of my signature to my doc? That's a good question. I think you can just type it. Don't worry about putting an image on there. How will our grade be affected? What do you mean, how will your grade be affected? You're graded on the work that you do, right? Eric? Darjeri, so I had the survey and it was about 60-40. 40% of people wanted to do Zoom. And 60% wanted to do YouTube. So that's why I chose YouTube. Okay, Darren, so you type your name and you can select a font that is a script font. Darren is scared. Okay, Melly, that's a lot of people for Zoom. Yeah, I think there's a limit of 100 people for Zoom too. I didn't think of that. But I can check it out. And like I said, maybe once a week we can do Zoom and 2 times a week we can do YouTube. So the plan is Monday, Wednesday, Friday to have the live streaming, and that would be 11:30. And after this first one, I may just have it open instead of requiring that you have the link in order to access it. All right. Are there any questions for me? Who's done with? Oh, I was going to give another example of the energy model, Earth's energy model. I do not have any whiteboard markers, so though I have whiteboards, I don't have the markers. So I do have some poster paper. So I thought that I could do a simple one, either on clouds. Well, let's do clouds. I don't think anybody selected clouds as a topic. So if we start here, that we have cloud cover. So we can say that traps more heat. I should have put that here. Traps heat. And then what does that cause by trapping more heat? It causes a rise in temperature. And that means that more water evaporates. Evaporation. And that causes more clouds. There's also another part of this process. Oh, we're missing the bottom. There's also another part to this process that when you have more clouds, more is reflected. So in another direction, we would have that's really increased albedo, isn't it? So when you increase the albedo, you lower the temperature instead of the temperature rising. So over here, we would have to have another one. I'm sorry, this has gotten really messy. And that's why dry erase markers help so much. So when we have the increased albedo, that means that temperature is lower. And that would mean less clouds because there's less evaporation. So we have a positive and a negative feedback loop with clouds. And of course, your final draft would have to be a lot neater than something like this. But this is the idea that you have some sort of a flow. They don't always flow. When you have the positive feedback loop, as you remember from the work that we did before this had happened, that means that you're increasing an effect. When you have a negative feedback loop, you're coming to equilibrium. So you're coming back to a normal state, and you can keep cycling through. Let me take a look at your, can I use my second chance card for the performance task? No. WAP, Alex, I don't know what that means. I don't have it. Tough. Tell me where my waffles are. Okay. But you don't have to do them. Who says you don't have to do them? Hey, Ms. Lawandi. Okay. Give your second chance card, raise hand. Can I use the bathroom? Yes, Aaron. School is canceled. Yes, it's on the website. Is it? I haven't been told anything officially yet about what is happening. So you'll have to use your other resources to figure those things out. Are there any other questions about Google Classroom, or you will be able to use your second chance card? Next week, I'm going to be assigning other assignments on Google Classroom on climate change. And after that, we're doing electricity. So it can be used on assignments. okay? Performance task is a different category in your grade, so um, it it's not to be used on that. But the second chance card can be used to turn in one late assignment without a point deduction. So right now, I'm not doing point deductions. We're all in this together. Everyone is struggling to get on board, to get online. So right now, I am not doing point deduction. So you really don't need to use the second chance card to turn in a late assignment. Um, after spring break, that may be the case. We haven't gotten there yet, so I don't know. Um, okay. I don't know who Borja is, and I am not doing the same things as other teachers necessarily. Like I said, I took the survey, and 40% were comfortable with Zoom, and 60% were comfortable with YouTube. How are we going to receive a final grade for the semester? I am not at the end of the semester yet, and I haven't been given instruction yet on what's happening. So I am not making decisions about the end of the semester yet, okay? Ms. Lawandi, do we repeat our junior year next year or what? Absolutely not. You do not repeat anything. And this is another issue that high schools have to be working with the UCs and the CSUs. I cannot give you answers on anything, but I know that students are not going to be penalized for anything that is happening at this time in regards to their college transcript. But yes, that's why we got to do this. You need to participate. You do need to participate. If you're already a senior, you're still a senior, and they will be having, there is supposed to be a specific, I don't know if it's a remind.com that they're setting up for seniors so that you can stay on top of everything that you need to do as a senior. Colleges are having issues right now as well, right? You do not repeat your junior year. How are the seniors now graduating? I don't know what you mean. How are they graduating? I don't know what you're referring to. Are you referring to the ceremony? I don't know any updates about that. Want to go to prom? Yeah, sure. Through Skype. Okay. If there are, I know you have a lot of questions about what's happening, and I don't necessarily have answers to that. So your other resources, stay on top of your email, stay on top of Remind, and you should be getting the answers to all of that. If there isn't anything else, I'm going to close. Everyone stay healthy and stay safe and keep up the good work. Bye-bye. And we'll do this again on Friday.